Hey everybody, this of course is Oliver Joyce, and welcome to part 3 of Ask Me Anything 8. It was such a big Ask Me Anything that I had to split it up into several parts, and I thought I'd release it over the course of the week because, attention spans being what they are. Do you really want to listen to me for an hour and a half straight? I know my wife doesn't. I know my kids won't. So, yeah, breaking up is a good thing. This last one, we'll just cover the rest of the questions that came to me on YouTube. And I'm going to record the answers to the Discord questions in a completely separate video, probably next week, just because, this one has been going for a while. Anyway, let's jump into them. Where were we? All right. Jolene Cujo asks, what's my favorite champion in the arena and my class in Sword and Sandals 3? Well, my favorite arena champion from Sword and Sandals 3 was probably Leopold, the keyboard one. He's quite a ridiculous one, but he was kind of fun with his keyboard and sort of fancy French aristocracy hat. I always found him quite ridiculous. Probably more serious answer would be Omega Ultratus with the huge, based on Aliens design and the twin chainsaws. I think that was the most visually interesting of all the bosses, so he is my favorite too. I also like Platos, the massive golem. I like the huge, ridiculous looking characters. And my favorite class, I don't know, I was always quite partial to dual wielding and sort of the warrior specs. Whenever I play these games, I tend to go for the warrior builds. Okay. Isansi asks, why does Sword and Sandals 5 have the Redux name on it? I searched a little bit for it, but I couldn't find a regular Sword and Sandals 5. It could just be me not understanding what the word Redux means, but it's another word for remake, and since there is a Sword and Sandals 2 Redux and a regular Sword and Sandals 2. Yeah, so it was, in fact, you're correct. Redux means remake, and this was a remake of Sword and Sandals 5, which was made in about 2010 or so. The reason you can't find that game anywhere is because it no longer exists online. It was very much tied to an online server and an online sort of in-app purchase system and so on, which was, when I was working at an old company, that game was played on a website and you could download it, and it was quite complicated. But once I left there, everything kind of fell apart and it was no longer available. So I thought, let's remake the whole thing and get rid of all the online servers and stuff like that and just allow it to be playable offline. And I, of course, changed the way the Gladiator looks and did some bug fixes and used the Sword and Sandals 2 engine for it. You can actually find videos on YouTube of gameplay from the original Sword and Sandals 5. So if you look for videos and do a search from videos from maybe 10 years ago, you can see how the old game looked, and it's quite interesting. It's a little bit different, and some of it's better. I wasn't able to recreate all of it. Good question though. Also, the official soundtrack on Steam that I got in the Legendarium edition doesn't work for some reason. It shows it's playing, but I don't hear anything. It could be my PC's fault, but I don't really know about these things. That's really weird to me. Is anyone else having that problem? I'm sorry to hear that it didn't work for you. They're just in a standard MP3 format. But it may be that they were just recorded in a way that wasn't compatible for everyone. Let me know if it's not working for other people, and I'll try to see if I can investigate. You can also find the soundtrack on Spotify if you want to hear it, so check it out there. Just do a search for like Sword and Sandals or Whiskeybarrel Studios on Spotify, and you can, play the Gladiator music as you're training or, commuting or whatever it is, or having a party. Damien Animates asks, what's your favorite game of the series you've made? They're all my children, aren't they? I have some, that I had more fun making, and each is kind of unique in their own way. But it's got to be Sword and Sandals 2, the original. I think that was the lightning in the bottle moment where everything just kind of just worked. It's still the most fun to play as well. Okay, this one is in Russian, this name, so I'm not going to be able to pronounce it properly, unfortunately. But I'm going to say like Kotru Kapmahob. Sorry, Russian or Greek, but it's Cyrillic anyway. And anyway, so why did you choose this art style in your latest games? It comes from Sword and Sandals 2 Redux because when I see in your game you're working at, compared to Sword and Sandals 2 and 3, they're very different. The feature that comes from the art style was so special because of the drawings from your childhood, and the music was special. But why did you change it? predominantly because I don't have time to do all the art and all the programming myself. It takes me twice as long to do the art, and a lot of people don't like it. I know a lot of people do, and a lot of people don't. I've tried to try and keep the spirit of that in Immortals, but essentially I needed to outsource it. Nobody can really replicate my game art style, unfortunately. So, you know, if it was up to me, I'd love to do all the art myself as well, but, you know, or find someone that could. But I'm super happy with the artist who's taken over the art, Alexander Terentev, aka Bokimi. Awesome artist, and I'm super happy with his art style, and I hope that it can become part of you know, the next generation of kids' childhoods. You know, fingers crossed. You know, I'll do more art in the future as well, but you know, ultimately, eventually I have to let go. My good friend Michael Loader says, "Is it true that we can subscribe on Patreon and support Whiskeybarrel Studios? And if we don't, the Armor Man is going to be angry." I like this question. I see where you're going with that. Yes, you can subscribe on Patreon. I want to give a bit of a shout out now to my Patreon supporters. Armra, move. You're in the way. If you would like to be a Patreon, that will make my day. Okay. He's always out of sync now. But anyway, look. Jandaku Chanahi, Noda Gujan, Nico, Xup Omega, Ilya Gurovic, Jeffro of Hex 3D, Davi, Akim Shabanov, Pialo34, Michael Loda. That's the one. Thanks, my friend. Thanks for all your support over the years too, and your friendship. Yunus Yalo, Hopeless, Chris Lopez, Daniel Funches, Big Mike, and Brandon K. Thanks all you guys. Thanks for your patronage. You help to bring the series along, and you know, support me, and you know, by extent, my family, because this is my job. This is the only thing I do now, and I feel very fortunate, and in large part due to the Patreon. Great question. Okay, more questions from Elang Sachi, who asked 9 questions. I got more questions. What, you can find his other questions in part 2. What do you think is the worst Sword and Sandals game to play? For me personally, it's Mini Fighters. Look, I used to say Sword and Sandals 4, but I've had a change of heart on that. I've come around to that. It's actually quite fun. Probably Mini Fighters. Yeah, it was designed for mobile, and it doesn't particularly play well, and it's a little bit kind of like I don't know. Yeah, it feels too much like a casual game. I'm going to say grossed out too, which is not Sword and Sandals, but it's in the classic collection as well. I've documented it before many times, but I hate that game. Do you feel something's off in the Discord server? What do you mean by that? No, I love the Discord server. I love the people in the Discord community and the moderators. Congratulations to Nitschke, who's the new General Nitschke, who's the new moderator. If anything, I only wish I was around more to be part of the discussions and so on, just because I'm a busy person and I don't have enough time to spend in there. If anything, I would say I wish there was more discussion. There is often the same familiar faces in Discord, and I would love to have more Discord, more chat from new people, because it's about 1,300 people, but I know that it's not 1,300 active members. So please, if you're watching this video and you're not part of the Discord and you want to talk more Sword and Sandals and maybe meet some new friends, join the Discord. See me every now and again. Okay. On a daily basis, what do you usually eat and drink? You're getting a little bit personal there, my friend. No, these I love these questions. Look, coffee in the morning. I have some cornflakes for breakfast. I have like a second breakfast like the Hobbits. At about 10:30, we have a tea. We usually have leftovers for lunch. My wife is an amazing cook. Mwah! To my wife, she is an incredible cook, and I eat lots of her leftovers. In the afternoon, a little snack, have an apple, and then whatever my wife is making for dinner. So I'm pretty skinny, relatively skinny for but I eat well. I got to say, I'm very blessed. Before I was married, I used to cook for myself, and I was a terrible cook. I'd have tuna pasta that I'd make and cheese sandwiches and stuff from a jar, but I definitely eat better than I used to. That's one of the good things about when you get married or have a long-term relationship. Often, your partner will be a good cook. All right, where were we? Will the characters from Sword and Sandals Medieval make some cameos in future Sword and Sandals game? Most people forget Medieval, aka You Are a Knight, ever existed. Yeah, not really. I mean, they were all real medieval figures like William Wallace and Guy de Lucian, that kind of thing. There's no plans for them to come into the game. As you say, it was originally You Are a Knight, and it was similar enough that I thought I'd make it part of the series. If anything, I'd like to do that game. I'd like to actually redraw the characters so they look more like the medieval characters and make it less childish. But not gonna probably ever really touch that game again. What's 9 plus 10? 910. So bad at maths. 9 plus 10. I've been teaching my boy maths using his fingers and so on. So luckily his mother is a better mathematician than I am. But yet, 19. This has probably been answered before, but I'll ask again. Why are Glamazons replaced by Haxapods in Tavern Quest? I don't remember the answer to that. I really don't. And I'd like to bring the Glamazons back for Immortals because a few people have asked for them. And talking about Haxapods, will there be more of them Immortals? Yeah, they're back. I'm getting some artwork commissioned for them as we speak, and they should hopefully be in there in the next few weeks. I'd like to reveal them to you then. Is there a connection between Xanthar and the Bone Slinger, since they're cursed, buffed by Antares respectively? There is, but I forgot what it is. The Bone Slinger's main adversary is Father Painbringer, as you can check out in the Sword and Sandals Tome of Lore on swordandsandals.com. But I remember Xanthar also had a connection, but I've forgotten it. Xanthar the Haunted also appears in the little Choose Your Own Adventure style book that I've been writing over the last few years, and I haven't touched in about a year. But that will eventually, once I take a break from this, that will work on that. And Xanthar, you get to you actually meet him in, I think it's called Tower of Bargle. That was the term. Any news on the Bargle Choose Your Own Adventure game? Funny enough, I want to finish that. I really do. I'm going to finish it next year, and in Godot, and it'll probably either free or just a few dollars. It's going to be a super cheap one just for people who like Choose Your Own Adventure style books. Not a huge story, but there's some 30,000 words in there or something, so it's decent, and it's going to have some nice sketches and so on. I want to build that once I take a break from this game. Lord Hellsoul asks, hey, I just want to ask if the Arena Champions Sword and Sandals 3 are coming back. There'll be maybe one or two from Sword and Sandals 3, a couple of cameos. That'll be a surprise. Definitely some automatons will be in there. Vaporware Vixen asks, will there be returning gladiators and characters? Justice for Battle Maiden Anna and the Glamazon. Maybe we should bring Battle Maiden Anna. I think she got killed. I can't remember. I've forgotten the lore. But yeah, Glamazons will be coming back to Immortals. And there will be some cameos from other gladiator champions. Abdul Speedruns asks, Torn Effects have six outcomes. 1, 2, 3 are pretty obvious, and 4 is pretty obvious, but when you have super high charisma compared to your opponent, I never see outcomes 5 and 6. Does that mean they don't exist? I've kind of forgotten. I'm not really sure what you're talking about. I think you're talking about, okay, Nick, the moderator, good man, Nick asks, I wonder if you're talking about gets damage, charges you, runs at you when you taunt. It's all random. If they're not appearing, it's probably just a bug in the game. I should look at that. Sorry, I couldn't really answer that question properly. My knowledge is all Sword and Sandals Immortals right now. I've sort of forgotten the other systems. I'm so focused on the headspace. Fatima Ali asks, in Sword and Sandals Crusader Redux, will you add online battle options to conquer the realm? I would love to, but the game didn't do that well, unfortunately. It sells okay, but not well enough to bring in a full online mode. Nikola Vuletic, I thought it was Nikola Vucevic, the great NBA player. Vuletic asks, what is the opening sound from the original game in Sword and Sandals Crusader Redux? That was a song that was commissioned. That was done by, who was it? I can't remember. Maybe I think it was a musician called Joshua Queen who did a 30-second sound for that. And that will probably appear if I ever do a volume 2 of the Sword and Sandals 2 soundtrack. It might appear there. V the Victorious asks, how you doing? Is life okay? Life is good for me, V. And how is it for you? I got to ask, how is it for all you guys? Because, Sword and Sandals fans are scattered all throughout the world and, come from very different backgrounds, different socio-economic, religious backgrounds and ages and so on. It's been a tough few years for everyone with this pandemic, and it's changed how we operate. It's changed how we live our lives, and it's changed how we see our friends or don't see our friends, how we socialize or don't socialize. It's been hard on us all. I've been fortunate to have my family with me. It's been hard not to see my extended family. I haven't seen my mum in the last sort of 4 months or so because we've been in lockdown. We're finally getting out of lockdown next week, so we'll be able to start socializing and visiting friends, and my children can play with other children, that kind of thing. But yeah, we've been fortunate in that I have a job where I can work from home, but I can only imagine what it's like for those people who have to go out every day and face the pandemic and risks every day. So I want to know how you're doing. Let me know in the comments, and perhaps we can talk about that more in a future video and get a little bit more personal rather than only ever talking sword and sandals, because you guys have watched my videos for years and years and years now, and I've told you a bit about myself, so I'd love to just get a sense of your stories, and maybe I can read them out and talk about things. It's an idea for a future video. HFTF asks, how did the pirate in Sword and Sandals 1 look like, and how did the slave in Sword and Sandals 2 look like? Although we can see the pirate in the beginning of the adventure, and he had the sort of eye patch and so on. And the slave, well, he looked like what you wanted. Your character was the slave gladiator, so I'm assuming that's what you meant. They're basically you. So there's no official kind of definition of them. That's why they're called, Nameless, and what was the other one? The Gladiator, the Nameless, and the Starbound Gladiator, and the Companion from 5. They all look like your character in your own kind of version of Sword and Sandals. Do you have an official release date? Okay, let's talk about that, Chef. Chef Dog asks this. Yeah, we have an official release date of April 2022 for early access. There's going to be a demo on Steam in February. Yeah, February. And then full release is not till October. Let's check out a quick trailer. Please wishlist this game. This is the trailer for Sword and Sandals Immortals, which kind of just shows you, a bit of what the game is all about. You can wishlist this in the description below. And wishlisting the game really, really does help me, and tells the Steam algorithms what games are popular, and sort of lets more people know about it. So you wishlisting the game helps me and helps Immortals, and I thank you for all those who've already wishlisted the game. So that's the timeline. Basically, we're going to be getting this game out for a demo in the next fest in February. My gosh. It's October. I really should get on with programming the game and not doing all these videos. Oh gosh, it can be a struggle. It's a lot to do, and I'm a little bit nervous. Where were we? How many more questions have we got? Okay, only a few more. We'll get there. Mura asks, who's your favorite boss in all the Sword and Sandals series? John the Butcher. Because there's a real life connection to me, and it's just he's the iconic one. He's the first one you meet in Sword and Sandals 2, and he's got the hat of ham, and the every time you go away, you take a piece of meat with you every time. Based on a real song, that one. Yeah, he's my favorite. Shadowgun. I didn't play my keyboard today. I should. Shadowgun HD asks, it'd be fair. I'll be fair. I want to know, will there be choices of good and evil where you can spare or kill somebody, and will that affect the storyline? Yeah, I mentioned this earlier. You'll be able to spare and kill enemies, and that will affect how evil or good you are. It may affect the outcome of the game, the end result. We'll see. Crocodile Man says, when do we get Sword and Sandals Galacticus Fantasticus? And General Nick replies, maybe that be some DLC. Yeah, if this game does well, that will be a DLC where you get to fly through the stars and see what happened to the Starbound Gladiator on his adventures. The Black Unicorn says, can you tell us some backstory about Immortals? Well, the idea is that the automatons return to Brandor, and they bring with them a terrifying story. There is a new powerful threat coming to Brandor, and we must face it. And so they want to gather the best gladiators in all the realm to to find out who might be worthy to fight this. That's all I can give you for now, but I'm going to release the backstory in the coming months. Rivernook asks, what's the game that you like the most? We asked this before. It's Sword and Sandals as a series. Sword and Sandals 2. Yeah, that's the one that's the most special to me. It's the most popular by far, and it's the most nostalgic for most people, and I gotta say that's my favorite. Although I do, weirdly enough, have a place for Spartacus, because that's the game that was on the Nintendo Switch, and it's the one that kind of represents the most retro style. It's the most, for me, my childhood was all sort of pixel art games and platformers and Rastan Saga and that kind of thing, and that's the game that is the most like that. So when I sit back and play that, I go, wow, I really love this game. Unfortunately, it's the least popular game I've ever made, commercially anyway. So there were too many pixel platformers, but it still holds a place for me. Another Cyrillic name, Appium Hom. Sorry, I butchered it. Anyone speaks Cyrillic, please spell it out for me. Will you make Sword and Sandals 3 Redux? Maybe there'll be a DLC. Yeah. That will also be a potential DLC for Immortals, because it's using Immortals has so many features that are borrowed from Sword and Sandals 3 that it makes sense that I could do that. Gaming Bro Z says, is the game out? I hope it's not out. No. As I mentioned earlier, out in April in early access, so you can wishlist it then. And Creeper Truco said something, I believe, in Spanish. Te pareces a mi profe de música? Something about the music? Wish I could answer that. That's a curious note for me to end on. Unfortunately, I don't have an answer for you there, Creeper Truco, but if you write it again in English, I may be able to answer that. I wish I could speak Spanish. It's such a beautiful language. Las palabras de amor, the words of love. Das dicho mi amor. I can't speak Spanish, and now it's embarrassing myself. That's a really, really good note to end this on. If you like my stuff and you want to subscribe, if you're not subscribed, please do. The channel is building up, and there's going to be more and more Sword and Sandals gameplay videos in the coming weeks. It's been a bit of a lull because I've been hard at work on the talents and skill trees, and it sort of breaks the game, so I haven't really been able to show you anything. But coming soon, you will see much more exciting Sword and Sandals development. So, join me every week for a new video. Thanks for being part of the AMA. This one took a while, and we divided into 3 parts, so it's over an hour and a half or so. So, that's a big video. I hope the questions were, I hope the answers were as fun as the questions were, and I hope they, at least shed some light on the series and the plans for things and my own life. I love this job. I'm the most fortunate man in the world to be doing this and work on the games I love with such a great fan base as yourselves who allow me to do that. Who knows how long this will last? Maybe this time next year I'm back working full time. But while it lasts, it's been a good run, and for that I salute you, gladiators. I salute you. Until next time, my friends, I'm Oliver Joyce, and I'll see you next week. Bye for now.